Welcome to Underpowered. This is a podcast that we talk about games. My name is Casey Cool, and our usual host, Shelby Stokes, is out on assignment. But with me tonight is my close and dear friend, Sean the Fool. And our guest tonight is graphic artist, badass control artist, and designer Captain Alex. Alex, thank you for joining us tonight.
Of course, thank you for having me. No, you do not.
Okay,
you do not.
Know
Absolutely not. I mean, you can.
Okay. I want to honor your service and Nintendo. So I gotta ask, were you a huge fan of Captain Nintendo, the TV show as a kid?
Never seen it actually.
Oh, what?
Me neither.
Man.
Yeah,
you never saw Captain Nintendo? Oh, Captain N, where he's a kid with a Letterman's jacket and he got sucked into an NES. He used the gun from Duck Hunt as a laser. Mega Man has a green helmet. This was like very formative of my young childhood.
Oh,
I have heard of it, but I have never seen it.
I vaguely recognize it.
You have young kids, right, Alex?
Yeah, I have a 1.5-year-old.
Oh, way too young to watch.
Yeah,
or like Coco Melon right now, or maybe some Bluey, but that's really for the parents. So Alex, I was following you on Twitter, and I just saw all the cool things you make and the beautiful art you do. How did you get into doing this space, or why? Maybe you tell everybody what you do. That would be
all right. So I make custom video game controllers. I take boring old white, black, whatever color they are, regular controllers, and take them apart, paint them, put them back together, put really cool designs on them. I've started in 2013 with like decoupaging controllers, and then over time, had an Etsy store like immediately once I started doing it. It went well. And then over time, like Amiibos came out, and I got really big into Amiibo customizing as like a hobby.
That's cool.
So that kind of brought me more into the Nintendo community. I was always like a Nintendo gamer, but that brought me into like the internet side of the Nintendo community. And so I built like a following in the Nintendo side of things with the Amiibos and my art that way. And then once the Switch launched, the Joy-Cons came out, and there was just a lot of potential to switch up your entire console by just changing the Joy-Cons on the side of it. So it was a nightmare at first to start doing custom Joy-Cons because they are very, very delicate and there's a lot going on inside a very little box. So it was a nightmare at first, but the more I did it, the easier it got, the more designs and ideas I came up with. I'd always been doing Xbox and PlayStation controllers as well alongside of it.
As I'm showing these for those that are listening to the audio version, you're missing out. These are so
that's really cool.
Good.
Thank you.
Spider-Man. I see all sorts of cool stuff.
Now, do you take people's? Do they send them into you, or do you only deal with new?
I primarily only deal with new. We have a store here in town. We're in Orlando. So we do have a store. If people want, they could drop it off locally. Don't really do mail-in stuff because I don't really feel like being responsible for anybody's stuff being lost, damaged, broken, or having to keep track of it once it arrives. So I typically just deal in new. That way I can also guarantee like your 5-year-old controller isn't going to just get drift the day after I paint it. So
are they like made to order, or do you usually have a few of like one or two of each kind of like on hand at any time, so you don't have to like back order as much?
Yeah. So since I've been doing my Etsy store, it's always pretty much been made to order. I've stopped doing Etsy about 2 years ago. When we opened our retail location, it became like too much to balance everything. So I stopped doing Etsy, and then I moved to doing like, this is a bunch of designs. You could just buy it in my store. And then over the last year, going into this year, I've been heavy on doing conventions. So I am just stocking up since the end of December. I have just been working straight through all of January. Now going into February, I've got 3 conventions back to back in March. So I've got like a whole bunch of pre-painted shells that I've got to put together in the next few weeks. And then those will become shows with me. And then everything else will pretty much be like ready on hand at that point.
Yeah.
So
I bet those make a killing at conventions and stuff.
For
'Cause,
sure.
like someone's seen like a whole wall, especially any kind of collector or whatever, see a whole wall of custom controllers and stuff. It's like
Yeah, I didn't
heaven.
know what to expect. I had no idea going into it. I took a shot last year. We've always done our local conventions, just to help promote the store and stuff. But I took a shot last year and I was like, let's go out of state. Let's see what happens. And the first one was decent. I took a chance and I did a second one, which was even better. And then they kept getting better and better throughout the year as I learned the tips and tricks of how to do this. So, as a convention artist, there's a lot to learn. There's definitely a learning curve.
I bet.
And I love that Doug Bowser, for those that don't know, the president of Nintendo America, signed your controller.
That was at E3 in 2019, and don't think he had any clue that it was even custom.
He's like, oh, cool. When did you start making these?
It was like 5 minutes after he became president. I think
I'm sure
Reggie had just stepped down a few months before.
He was a little over, like, oh, awesome.
But still, that's awesome.
What's the time frame for you to make one of these? What's like the usual? How many can you get done in a day? Type?
It is hard to say. So I have a whole workshop in my garage. It's all built out and it's just lined with tables. It's like a single full 1-car garage, but it's all lined with tables. So I've got I want to say 15 different stations, and it really just depends. If I'm doing like a batch, I could do up to 6 controllers of the same design in one batch. But if I have to do only 1 or 2 of each design, then I can only do so many at a time. So it takes typically from start to finish one design about 4 to 5 hours between disassembly, painting over multiple days, different colors, and then reassembly. So it's about 4 to 5 hour time frame per controller. But again, I could do 30 controllers.
Because if you're doing one design, okay, we're gonna do this layer of paint. Yeah.
So
I was thinking about that. I think that it's still amazing. So before you did control, what were you doing for work before? Have you always just been in the graphic design field?
No. I have never been in the graphic design field. Prior to doing this full time, I was an airline pilot.
Oh, wow.
You cut out. You were a what?
I was an airline pilot.
Oh, that's way different.
Yeah,
right
super
on.
different.
Okay.
And before that, I was in college, high school, and everything. So I've never done anything graphic design professionally besides this. I don't have a degree or anything in graphic design. I've always been artsy, but I've honestly mostly been self-taught and just learning things over the time and on the internet.
Have you done a flight simulator controller yet? Where's the custom one of those?
I have not. I've not done anything aviation related.
I see the wheels turning right now.
I am. I'm like, oh, let's see.
That's a big shift. So how often do you break a controller? Because that's my big fear of doing this and really worrying that someone told me I could fix the drift in my Joy-Con just by lifting it up, and I've got these big gorilla hands, and I'm scared.
More often than I would like, but not often enough that it is a concern. It's happened. I want to say maybe I've broken 3 sets of Joy-Cons over the course of thousands, I think, at this point.
That's a good average. You're doing great.
Xbox controllers are pretty foolproof. There's not really any way to break them if you're just swapping out the shells. The shells literally, it's just a top and a bottom piece, and the whole innards, they're all connected. They don't even really come apart unless you really want to. PS5 controllers are a little bit touchier, but again, they're built pretty well. So the biggest
Nintendo Pro controllers fine too, I'm sure, right?
Yeah, the Pro controllers are super easy. Yeah,
those are nice. I wish they just made that and split it in half.
Yeah. Yeah, so I don't think I've ever broken any Pro controllers. I don't think any PS5 or Xboxes. I think I've only broken Joy-Cons, which
isn't hard to do. You can look at a Joy-Con and they break. I'm a diehard Nintendo fan, and it's the work. When you think of Nintendo, it's that quality seal of approval. Their literal materials are always well made. I used to watch my dad throw a Super Nintendo controller down as hard as he could on the floor if he was losing at King Griffey or Killer Instinct, and it would bounce right back up to him.
Yeah,
they don't make them like they used to.
Sure
and have you ever messed around with the decal work where people put the decals on too? Do you ever sell those or thought about doing those?
I did them briefly for a time. For the Switch Lite, I had a pretty few. A cool.
handful.
I had a handful of cool designs that I did for the Switch Lite, and then I had them manufactured. And the Switch Lite itself isn't as popular as the regular Switch Lite,
Right.
so it didn't sell super well. But they were really nice decals. My main gripe with them is that you always see a seam. There's always some kind of
right. It peels off.
It's a sticker. Yeah.
It's not the same as when you take it, like the time and effort you put in those other ones. You can see it, and that's why they're so cool.
Yeah. So the decals that we had manufactured, they were pretty good. There wasn't a ton of seams. There was super full coverage, but even still, it's just there's nothing like painting it. It's seamless.
Now, of all the controllers you've done, which one's the one you're most proud of? Who's your favorite kid?
Yeah.
It is such a hard question. I get that question all the time.
I'm sure.
People online, people in person now at conventions.
That's why I asked you right now, because I wanted it on the spot.
Right.
You know? I was like, what does everybody ask him?
I don't know. I'm very fond of my Sonic design. I think it's just a very fun design. The red handles on the Pro Controller are like his shoes, and then like his white buckle is on there, and then the rest is like a gradient of blue. So I really like that design. Oh man, I don't know. I've got a few on my wall behind me.
Which one was the hardest?
Casey's trying to scramble to find the.
I was looking for the Sonic one. I was like, let me see if I can. But what's the hardest one that you had to do?
The hardest one. They are getting progressively harder.
I'm sure I see that in that. You keep getting better, so I'm sure it keeps getting harder with that.
They're getting more detailed. I don't know about hard, but like my newer Pokemon ones are just a lot more detailed than they used to be. So it's a 3-4 day process. I just did I'm doing Demon Slayer now. I'm getting more into anime. So I did a Demon Slayer set of Joy-Cons and a PS5 controller. I did a Nakatsuki Naruto controller and getting like the clouds with the white outline, the red clouds with the white outline on a black controller. It's just like a lot of time-consuming detail work. So I'd say they're all pretty evenly difficult at this point. It's just which is more time-consuming.
Right. I would assume too that it would be with the anime ones. And how do you ever, with the single request, you have to be getting single requests, right? I feel like it's the sneaker. There's a guy I follow. He does something called Air Bulls, and he does something where it'll be like the Ninja Turtles, but he does it with like an old Nike.
Yeah.
It's the same. It's a custom. It's people that make these well-crafted things like yourself. So how often are people asking you for one-off? And is that harder to do because you have you rather mass produce or not mass? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You have your system.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right. I get it a lot right now. We've pretty much determined like I'm not gonna do it anymore. Or I'm going to upcharge a lot more than I have been. It's always,
I would say, right? You have to give a big number, right?
Yeah. It's always been like, it's just like $10 more. But now we're like, probably like I have to like halt other productions and like focus exclusively on this.
$800.
It's got to be a little bit more.
Yeah, give me
from now on. So I do get it a lot. A lot of my designs came originally from custom orders. Like my whole Hollow Knight, my very first Hollow Knight one was a custom order. Seeing the reception to that one, I made it for like every other console. And now I've revamped my Hollow Knight design. The one that you showed earlier is my old version. It's not even my current version. So I've revamped it. So a lot of my designs came from custom orders. I had so many people just generally requesting like more anime things. So I was like, all right, like let me brainstorm what can I do in the anime scene now.
Right.
So
what do the kids like? Do you watch a lot of anime or has it pushed you to watch it?
I'm definitely more intrigued to watch it. I don't have to watch anything.
Okay. Demon Slayer is worth your time. I'd say that's the big thing. We started watching it during COVID, and then I couldn't wait, so I went and read the whole series. But the second season, it dropped on Netflix, and I was really excited. And then I was like, well, we have to watch the movie because that's the thing in between. And someone in our
part of it.
No, they took the whole movie, made it 6 episodes of the second season. They gotcha. Still worth a watch. I watched it this weekend. Do you get Disney requests too?
I have not gotten any Disney requests really. Actually, I shouldn't say that. I did do a Mickey Mouse Xbox controller.
Okay.
But I recently this week realized that I was at Epcot last week for my birthday.
Yeah, you're in Disneyland. You're in Mickey's house. He's in your backyard.
So I realized that the Epcot ball pattern is the same as
the Elite controller. right? The touchpad.
No, well, yes, that actually is similar. Now that you say that, but I realized that the Epcot ball is like the same hemp pattern that is on the girl from Demon Slayer's like pink. It's the same hemp.
It is.
It's the exact same pattern. So I already have a pattern for that for Joy-Cons, and now I'm gonna make it an Epcot version because I can make the Epcot ball now as Joy-Cons, and I'm gonna see what happens and see if there is like a theme park crowd.
That creator of Demon Slayer, they were trying to get the Zenzetsu, all the characters kimonos. He was trying to get those patterns patterned. He was trying to get a copyright on them to start selling them because he's like, man, I should have been making a fashion line. I see, because they're so cool. Zenzetsu is my personal favorite, but I know like people like the one that's split with the red and then the green squares. That one's I can't ever say his name. I'm always curious about what kind of fans come out. So with how many GameCube controllers? Anybody in the fighting community going like, can you make me my main and Smash controller? Any of that?
Yeah, I have not done a ton of GameCube controllers since I've started. They're so hard to get. Right. They re-released them for the Wii U, which was awesome. They briefly re-released them for the Switch, and now they are not releasing them in the US anymore. You can get them overseas. So I did determine that this year I am going to do GameCube controllers. I've got a pile of them like 3 feet away from me right now that are all disassembled, ready for painting.
Perfect.
Because I do want to get more into it. I have a Pro Controller design pretty much for nearly every character in Smash at this point. And so
that's 75 designs or more, or 80 right now. That's insane.
Yeah. So I have a design for pretty much all of them. I'm going to take some of my best ones and put them on GameCube.
When you get that Incineroar one, holler at your boy.
Okay.
I was thinking too, like you could the fight sticks too for arcade cabinets. That's something that
I've had people ask. I just don't know enough about them that I haven't dove into that yet.
I think you could make a killing, sir. I think you should. That would be the one to go. Like, because
he needs more hands. That sounds like that's going to be your biggest problem. Pretty soon.
More hands. More. Well, I know in June, CEO is one of the bigger fighting tournaments. And it's in the Orlando area. I hope you should. I go vendor out there. Those guys their minds will be blown.
I could spill some tea. I don't know. It's not like hot piping tea, but I tried to get into CEO. I was DMing with Alex Jabali for a few weeks. Yeah. And at first it was like, I don't know if you guys have heard of, probably you have, Controller Chaos does custom controllers.
Oh, yeah. Sean does work with Microsoft for their controllers.
Okay.
For their videos. Sean's or can I say that, Sean? Am I going to get you in trouble?
How dare you? No, I used to. Until recently, I've now changed roles a bit, but I was in charge or like part of the team that made like all the sizzles and unboxing videos for all the Xbox controllers that came out. So like I have a whole like closet just full of random Xbox. I don't own an Xbox myself because I'm a PC gamer mostly, so I play all my Xbox. But I have controllers
on that bad boy on your PC. What are you talking about? I know. Hey, Enrique might need the hookup. You might need to send him an Xbox controller, Sean.
So I was talking to Alex for a while, and he told me that basically he gives Controller Chaos exclusivity because they are a $15,000 sponsor or something. But that year, I think it was a COVID year. I think it was 21, and they didn't show up that year. And then he just like stopped responding. At first he was like, okay, like they're not showing up, you can come. But then like he just stopped answering me. So now I'm just a little bit bitter. And also I don't have $15,000 to sponsor. And I don't even know if they go anymore. I haven't seen them at any shows in the last few years. So I don't even know if they do the convention scene anymore. But that's the story with CEO.
That's going to be a hard scene too, because you go to PAX, you have to pick and choose which ones you go to.
Yeah.
How many do you try to hit a year?
So like I said, I just started traveling last year. So last year I did 5 or I think I did 6. Most of them were in Florida though. Miami, Tampa, Orlando. And then I went out to Chicago for C2E2. Then I went to Seattle for Emerald City. And then
that's
I went
next month. We're in Seattle. Yeah. So
So I came out to Seattle for Emerald City, and then I went out to New York for Anime New York City.
cool.
I did those last year. I'll be back in Seattle in the first week of March.
Yeah, Emerald City Comic Con this year. Yeah, it's getting really big.
So I'm super excited. I loved it out there last time. It was a lot of fun. It was a great convention. I did well with that crowd, so it was.
You got to make it to PAX West too. I think we got to get you out there.
Yeah, I did try to get into PAX West last year. I had trouble getting in. Last year, they told me that they don't really allow Artist Alley, and I was like, well, I'm an actual established business. I am. I am a person. I do the art myself, but I am more than that. No different than somebody like Controller Chaos or anybody else.
Products.
So I couldn't get in last year, but I haven't really announced it publicly yet anywhere. But I did get into PAX East this year, so I will be at PAX East.
We got the scoop.
This just
we got
the
scoop. Show's over, everybody. Sean, good night. That's awesome.
We'll be at PAX East and hopefully
really
West.
cool.
I haven't gotten any I haven't paid or signed any contracts for West yet, but more
now
than
you
likely,
can go back.
hopefully.
Now you can go back to the West guys and be like, "Hey, East, let me in."
Right?
Are you gonna let that happen?
Let it hang over. That's great. Well, with all this controller making, and you also have a really cool. You and your wife have a soda shop, right?
Yes, yeah. So our
That's
retail
rad.
store, our retail store where we started selling the controllers. We've got other merchandise now too, besides my controllers, of course. But we also have a 90s themed soda shop inside the store, which is really fun.
Yes,
That's
I
neat.
saw you're doing the Baymax one for Valentine.
We are, we have
What's
a
the name of the
Baymax.
shop?
It is called Pop Culture Soda Shop.
Okay. Pop Culture Show Shop. I think everybody should go there if you're in the Florida area.
Please do. Yes, if you come to Disney, please come visit us.
Even if not, start walking now.
Yeah.
Did I see? Was there chocolate on top of the fountain drink?
It was a chocolate cold foam. So it's an ice cream float that is
fancy
strawberry lime Jones soda.
Okay.
And it has vanilla ice cream, chocolate cold foam, and then Oreo crumbles on top. It's very good. It's like a chocolate covered strawberry liquefied.
So, okay, how often are you testing these or coming up with these? And it's always a 90s theme, correct?
Yeah, so the whole store is all pinks and blues and purples. It's all very retro.
It's like
90s.
the Max from Saved by the Bell.
Exactly. That's what everybody says. That's what everybody says when they come in. And then we have a bunch of shelving with all old 80s, 90s, early 2000s stuff on the shelves. Just to give it those nostalgic vibes. We got a bunch of Furbies and a Power Glove up there and some other fun 90s stuff.
Are there lava lamps?
Do we have? I don't think we have a lava lamp. There's nowhere to plug it in.
So I guess lava lamps. Most people, I associate with the 90s just because that's
that's the 70s, my guy.
I know, and then I was like, that's more 70s, I guess.
Oh man, I would think of Tamagotchis in the 90s.
We do. We have virtual pets. Yeah,
Nice,
I don't think we have an official Tamagotchi yet. We have a nano pets. We have the knockoff version.
Right. Yeah.
So how do you make time to game with this busy schedule, or what games are you playing these days? Because you obviously have a passion for Nintendo and gaming.
I find time anytime I can, basically. Lately, it's been mostly on airplanes on the way to conventions and in airports and stuff. But when a big game comes out, like Pokemon, I will play whenever, right before bed, right when I wake up, between naps, whenever I can find the time.
Did you get the Greninja? Did you get the Greninja in the raid this last weekend?
I have not done any of the raids, unfortunately.
Man.
No. I always miss all the events because there's just too many things going on.
I know, and you have to have a window, and the group's online.
Yeah.
I had help in our Discord. I had a guy carry me, and it was great. So I was like, yay! I felt like my son when I have to help him. What's some of your favorite games? So Pokemon, are you really keyed up for the new Zelda in May, or?
I am. I don't know. There's something about this game I'm not super hyped up for it. I am excited. I'm obviously
low expectations, so then it's gonna be good, right?
Yeah. I loved Breath of the Wild. Obviously, everybody loves that game. It's a fantastic
game. A lot
game.
of people in our Discord do not. So
really,
thank you. They had a whole last week. I wasn't on, and they all trashed Breath of the Wild. They're like, "It's good. It's not the best." And I was like, "When the cat's away, the mice will play." Yeah,
it's a fantastic game. I just don't know that it's not my favorite Zelda game.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean I'm not excited for the sequel. It's obviously gonna be a great game. But yeah, I don't know. I guess because it's not it's not a traditional Zelda game. It feels like something else that I don't have the same excitement for it. I feel like maybe.
Yeah.
And 2's kind of weird because I feel like they haven't given a lot of information about it, and then they kind of pushed it off and like stuff like that, and it's just like,
yeah,
okay, I guess I'll be excited when it comes out. Is where I've been with it. It's just like, okay, I'm like, I'll
it's
play
just
it.
kind of like off to the side right now. They're not really like pushing it too hard.
Yeah, I noticed that as well. They're just being really quiet with it. I love that they gave a date. I always think it'd just be really. I love it even more though when a company goes, "This game's out now." Just give me that with the Zelda game or Half-Life 3. If they did that, that's what they have to do at this point. I know it's hard. I've been really busy and I with work too. I always try to find. I'm a dad and I have 2 kids, and I got talked into. I talked myself into it because do you guys ever get FOMO about a game? Like I'm gonna skip this, and then everybody hypes it up, and you're like, damn it! You're like, oh no. Mm-hmm. I went and got Fire Emblem Engage, and I am pleasantly surprised because I was trying to play Tactic Ogre, the remastered. I started that up, and it's just so slow with Tactic Ogre. Have you ever played any of those Tactic Ogre games? Either of you?
No.
Nope.
I love Triangle Strategy. I love Final Fantasy Tactics, and Tactic Ogre is supposed to be the other big one. And when you play this remaster, they've done really good with the pixel art, but the battling just is kind of clunky to me, and not in a bad way. Just so many steps. It's not smooth. The characters. It's when you play Triangle Strategy. I 100%ed that game, which is insane still, and because I'm dumb like that, like the Fire Emblem thing. I'm like, oh, I can't miss out. Everyone's liking it. This reptilian brain, and it just didn't feel right. And I kept the new Fire Emblem game though they did a really good job. I was very surprised because I love Three Houses, and Three Houses was a big departure from the older games in that it was had more houses. It was very sim based in that it was the teacher sim part. A lot of people didn't like the relationship. We've talked about it on the podcast. Shelby just beat it, my usual co-host, the awkward staring at the tea parties meme. But this one's like a real old Fire Emblem. Sean, did you ever play a Fire Emblem?
I have not played any of the Fire Emblems. I know you've told me about them 100 times. I think even last time I was on, we were talking about Ogre.
Three Houses.
Like Tactic Ogre and stuff, and like how there weren't ogres. And we talked about Three Houses. And isn't this game where Shelby ended up romancing the girl that was like forever 15?
14. Yeah. Definitely some weird stuff.
He didn't know. She was like cursed to stay.
She looks like it. She's old. She was like in her 20s. This one though, if you look at the art for those watching live, it is really nicely cel shaded. It really goes back to the old anime tropes. Very tight play. You can run around when you're moving, in the first person view is really nice. Something they did in this is they brought back the weapon triangle. Alex, are you a Fire Emblem guy?
I am not. I think they're beautiful. I've given them a shot. It's just it's not my style of game. The turn-based battles, it's not my stuff.
Yeah, and I know I'm waiting for Octopath, which is another turn-based game that I don't know how I'm gonna make time for, but I'm gonna figure it out. Just not sleep. This is so good, but I'm mad because I'm mad that I'm not playing it more. If that makes sense. It's like, all right, I got to take my kid to this event. I need to sleep. Oh, man. It's like, and sometimes I'm like, man, I could just be sitting at practice. Does this one trick you into a dating sim? No, this one does not trick you into the dating sim. Well, minor, right? Correct. This is not Fire Emblem Underage or anything like that. It is. There's still the bonds, but you can make friendship with everybody, and they really kind of double down on just going over the top with it. I'm about a quarter of the way in, so I can't give it a full take on it yet, but I'm really enjoying it. Like right as soon as we get off the podcast, because I'm going to be playing tonight.
I'm probably not playing right now.
I was thinking about it, but it'd be rude. If it was just me and you, I'd be like,
Yes.
Well, what are you playing, Sean?
I have been playing a bunch of Satisfactory lately. Still, I think I talked about it last time I was on. But recently I know what it was. We did a story on for the game Smite, which has been around forever.
Yeah.
Which is like a MOBA, but not like your normal top-down MOBA. It's more like an MMO or an RPG kind of look to it. But anyways, Smite is doing a crossover.
The Ninja Turtles are in Smite.
They are, and then they have like Avatar, The Last Airbender characters in there. Anyways, they have a collaboration right now with Magic the Gathering, so they brought a bunch of Magic. Anyways, we covered it on like the news show that I work on, and I was like, oh, that makes me want to download Smite again, because what happens is I don't play it for years, and then I'm like, oh, that looks cool again, and they have I think an anniversary update going on, so I've basically just been playing like one game a night. That's all. I'm like, I'll play one match and then I'll be win or lose. I'm moving on or playing other games or stuff.
How long does a match take in Smite compared to?
So it's got different game modes. So it has like your classic kind of MOBA mode where it's like 5v5 and, you know, everyone's trying to get to, you know, the tower or whatever at the very end. Those games I think are called Conquest, take the longest. I don't play those, but they do have a mode called Assault, which is like 5v5, but it's literally you're just trying to like kill the other team and like basically whoever, like, you know, almost not quite deathmatch style, but you get points and you're kind of pushing minions to their end, but it's much more fast paced, because I care more about like I enjoy more just fighting other people than like dealing with minions or jungling or any of that other kind of like stuff in MOBAs.
It's so weird that jungling's a term, because that's just
right?
It's a League of Legends thing. Alex, have you played? What MOBAs have you played?
None.
None? Oh, right. Don't do it.
Another.
Actually,
not my style game.
You're a Pokemon fan, though, right?
Yeah.
You would like Pokemon Unite because it respects your time. It's a 10-minute game. You can play it on your phone.
That's what I've heard. Yeah.
That was my question about Smite. Smite seems cool, but I don't have time for like 40-minute matches.
And so Assault, if one team does really badly, it can end in like less than 10 minutes, but like 15 I would say is probably an average game length. And then I've been playing lately because I don't want to dive in with people that know what they're doing. I've been playing Assault mode, which is literally, it's in other MOBAs like ARAM or like all random, all middle. So it's basically one lane with each side having like a couple towers and everyone's character is randomly chosen. So everyone kind of is at a disadvantage in that unless they play a ton and they don't know every character. You know, so everyone's kind of like, I don't really know how to play this. So that's a better way I find to like learn characters. So that's what I've been playing mostly. Is like
that's cool. I like a quick game like that. Any more Vampire Survivor?
No, I haven't been playing any Vampire Survivor at all. But today I did, or I'm probably going to download Star Wars Battlefront 2 again because our friend Doug, you know, Casey and our mutual friend, he messaged today. He's like, Battlefront 2 is only $5 on Steam right now. You know, we should all play it. If everyone will play it. So I'm pretty sure I own it on maybe like Origin or something, some other service. I'm like, I'll just buy it on Steam for $5. So I have it there and can play that. So that's
just or stare at it, right?
Right. That's like our friend Doug's like, it's probably good for at least 5 hours because of my
$1 an hour
roll or whatever.
That's true. That was my thing with like Breath of the Wild. Again, it's how many hours I put into it. I definitely got $1 an hour's worth, if not more. But I don't feel like every game has to be a long game to be great too. Like that Hi-Fi Rush that everyone's playing on Xbox. That's like a 6-hour game.
You're talking about games that were like launched the same day they were announced.
That was it, right?
Yeah.
I'm telling you, it's the model. But that game drips of like Dreamcast to me. I'm like, oh, dude, they made a Dreamcast game in 2023. Rad, dude.
And the writing and stuff seems really witty and like it's self-aware. It reminded me of like original Borderlands, or if you've played the Tales from the Borderlands games, which are like the Telltale version of them. Reminds me of those combined with like a musical rhythm action game.
Sure.
Which is like a cool combination.
Yeah. I think it is a cool combo. Speaking of combos, I think we can move into our first news story. So I know we're talking about CEO and fighting games. It was announced today. Alex Bailey actually posted, because I like talking about the fighting game news on our Speculation News Network here. If this plays, I don't know what's going on.
I was like, I know you have a trailer.
Oh, I have a trailer. Oh no, it's a news story. There it is. Our Speculation News Network, our CNN here. Alex Bailey announced today on Twitter that Street Fighter 6 will be at CEO, and so that's why I was thinking, Alex, we got to get you in on that arcade stick business, man.
It's funny. I checked the dates today of CEO to see when it was against my convention schedule, and I already have something that weekend anyway this year. But yeah, it's so hard. There's so many events all year round.
Right.
I think the better move is you just sponsor a pro player, right? You give them something sick and go, hey, right? And then if people want to come to you, it's like I feel like you're kind of in the tattoo artist realm. If like they don't go, sometimes they go to a convention, right?
It's funny. I was thinking that earlier of how it's like it reminded me almost like of a tattoo artist.
Yeah, for sure. You know, if you make these awesome controllers, I'm very hyped for Street Fighter 6. I like a good fighting game. The thing that I'm really curious about is that open world aspect of it, and if they're going to do any kind of random off tournaments with it this year. In that, I don't know if you guys have seen that part of.
I don't think so. No.
Oh, so you can create a character in Street Fighter 6, and then you can go learn reuse fighting style, Balrog's fighting style, and have it, but you can have a different character build, and I think maybe you can pick and choose moves. And people that were doing the live demo, that they make like the worst characters, you know, like, oh, I'm gonna just make them as skinny as possible and have no face or eyes this big.
Character creator is always a good time.
Yeah. Yes. Hold on.
That's like whenever I play, whether it's like the Dark Souls games or any of those, or even like Mass Effect and stuff, when they let you create your characters, always
right
make
here.
them the,
this is
kind of
actually how I'm built.
Same with Arc. Yeah.
Real skinny legs, strong torso, hit it.
Very accurate.
Of course. But imagine fighting that, right? That's I kind of want to see this go very like this guy. This is the one that I saw. I was
my
oh my god.
No.
Look at the skinny arms. But you know he's coming in throwing fireballs. He's got that heat.
Yeah. Or he's got deadly elbows.
He's got deadly elbows. It's that Dalzim style. I don't know. I'm excited to see that. I like that fighting tournaments are coming back. You know, COVID screwed everything up. And
no,
it didn't.
Well, it definitely did.
Yeah, I like this fighting scene is my personal favorite for that, and it's good to see. And Street Fighter is the crown jewel, right? That's what everyone wants to see at Evo. And then they also said Grand Blue's coming back, Grand Blue Fantasy, which is super anime game, and it's a good time. It's a good time. So I wanted to talk about that, but I also want to talk about what's your waist size?
I don't know what it is.
What's your gene? Like, what's your gene? You don't know?
32s?
Yours is 32. Okay. I'm a 34. Alex?
32.
32. That's the average size, right? For a man, I'd say.
Some would say above average.
Above average? Right. Maybe. You can take that as you will. So Nintendo Land opened here in the US, and it's actually had a couple small controversies in that people are comparing it to the Japanese one and saying that some of it's not as polished. But the other thing is they're adding a weight limit ride for the riders, which it's a safety issue, I'm sure. But I think the limit is 40 inches.
That's not huge, though. Like, I would expect it to be like a lot, like, you know, really large, I guess. But 40, I don't know. Is that
for them thick boys out there like myself? That's a little alarming, but it's also maybe a check. I want to go and I want to make it happen.
I'm just curious how, like, are they gonna have you stand? Because you know, like when you're a kid and you have to be like,
publicly shame you.
You have to like walk up and like go fit between like this.
It's like a little hugging machine where you have to go arms up.
The way I understand it, I don't know. I could have made up a whole scenario in my head, but I think it's like you test the car like outside the ride, and like at that like test seat is a sign that says it, like you may be denied boarding. And I think they could just be like, yeah, you're not going to fit. You got to go.
And then, like, if you try to fight it, they'll have you go stand in, like, a box or whatever and prove that you don't fit.
Probably, yeah.
Go sweat off some inches, all right? No, how many TikTok rage videos are there going to be of people that can't ride? I think
lot.
A few. Yeah, just a few. Just many few.
Yeah.
It's hard. So certain rides probably should have a size limit for safety, right? Like realistically, any roller coaster that you're going at such a high speed, and that ride to me though does not look intense. I could be wrong. I don't know if there's.
I don't think it is. No. I don't think it moves very fast at all. I think it's all an illusion of speed.
Yeah.
I think it actually moves very slow.
Yeah. So like, Come on.
But looking back at the picture, it's like it looks like everyone's sitting in like their own individual like chair, kind of, versus like it looks like it kind of wraps around you. So it's like a desk chair or whatever is what it kind of reminds me of, the inner part. But so that's probably.
They could have just made a real roller coaster. That would have been rad too. I'd probably be more keen for that personally.
Yeah.
No sumo wrestlers and we all go.
No.
No
average Floridan, I would say, is going to be able to go either. Or anybody from Texas or the South. You know, I mean, like, there's a lot of overweight Americans, so I think that might be a concern. And there's the stigma about heavyset gamers. And I think twofold. One, it sucks, but two, maybe this might motivate someone, right? Am I weird to think that someone's going to be like, hey, I really want to do this, so I'm going to get under 40 inches. It might save some lives.
I feel like
save some lives.
Percentage. I think there's like two sides to it too. It's not even just overweight people. It's also like
large people.
There's large people who are like somebody like The Rock. Like, I don't know, his waist size is probably more than 40. You know, like there's also super buff people that could have huge waists. So
for sure.
There's a guy I follow, and we follow on Twitter. His name's Jesse Jerdak, and he's like 6'7". He's a D&D cosplayer guy, and he's like he dresses up in Gorg and the big Goliath type people. Huge. And he's in super great physical shape. Probably can't go. Shaq ain't riding it either, you know. And as sad as that makes me, it'd be interesting. I wonder. You know, they're adding more lands too. They've talked. Donkey Kong Land has been the one that they've said is next, and I hope they keep doing they got to do a Zelda. They got to do everything else, you know.
Because right now it's mainly Mario stuff.
Stuff, and it's just gonna be Mario. Unlike E3 this year, which won't have Mario stuff as usual. It won't have Microsoft stuff, and it won't have PlayStation stuff as we move into our final story. No one's going to E3. What's up with that? That's the story, and I'm kind of not surprised. Was that a shock to either of you today?
I'm a little shocked. I'm a little shocked that nobody's going. I don't know that. I'm not like entirely shocked, but I am a little bit surprised that they're not going to have any presence whatsoever. Like not even a smaller presence.
Yeah. Like Nintendo's controlled their own narrative and done the direct for a while now.
Right.
And Sony seemed like they're following suit. The thing is, because everyone has a social media channel, they don't need E3. And I remember when E3 gave out all the reporters because their security was really bad. Years ago, all the journalists that go to E3, their personal information they were doxxed, right? It was easy to get. And that probably sits bad with a lot of people in the industry. It still sits bad with me. I still remember it, and I'm not even there.
E3's been going downhill for way before even COVID. Like it's been for like a decade. It's been having a slow decline, especially when Nintendo like pulled out from like a main partner and started. They would still show up, but they wouldn't do like their big show there. They would do the direct, but they would still have their booth there.
The year for Breath of the Wild, they made a whole room look like Breath of the Wild, and everybody could play it. That was
they still had really cool booths, but
was that the last year you went?
Do a big show. Was Breath of the Wild there? Something had launched, something big, but I don't think I don't remember. I don't recall. It was a long time ago.
Yeah, a long time ago.
But then Sony and Microsoft have been still, supporting it as best they can. Then it's all like since COVID, it's all been digital. I think they've just realized, it's a lot cheaper and they have more control over it because it used to cost probably, I have no idea, but I would imagine $10 million plus to like put on these whole shows and like load up all the stuff and build out like an actual cool booth and all that stuff. Like it cost them a ton of money. And when they can do it all digital or most of it digital, like I work out of Xbox has like their whole, like a huge, like XR stage that they've basically been building out or built out. That is the same technology that they use to shoot like the Mandalorian.
Yeah.
And anyways, you can like they can put people in scenes like within video games. So I saw them testing it the other week and it was really, really cool. Like they would put them in like Forza or they'd put them in, they'd light it. And so it looked like they're in the game and they could walk around it and you can see it all at the same time. So it's not like a green screen. you don't see it.
Right.
But anyways, I think they're just choosing to invest in stuff that they own and control and can use like throughout the year versus like having one big like blow your load kind of shot where they're just like, okay, we're gonna have this one big show, and they still, I think they'll still have a big show around that time.
Yeah.
Because it's just great for them all to kind of drop stuff at the same time. But I think, again,
Jeff Keighley does that now, right? Jeff Keighley has
he's
killed
a big part
E3,
of him too.
right?
It feels like there's like 3 beats in the year, where it's like, you have the Game Awards, which is Jeff Keighley's, which is like in the fall. You have like the E3 time in June, and then like you kind of have stuff in like the springtime. But
you have Summer Game Fest now too. That's Jeff Keighley. He is the video game gatekeeper of the internet.
Summer Game Fest, if I remember right from last year and stuff, that happens like during E3 or basically like around that same time too,
right before it.
Yeah,
they were kind of letting E3 stay alive a bit.
Yeah,
and I probably too, for me, it seems like a cost thing. It's not worth them spending the money there. It's not.
It's 100% money.
There's so many conventions now. And I remember conventions were a thing growing up, but there's one every week. There's one every month. I'm sure Alex could be gone 2 times a month and go to a convention that'd be insane.
Yep.
I like a convention. I also think if E3 was just for the press, that'd be a cooler thing too.
Because it was
for the longest time.
It was for a long time. Then they made it E3 for all, I think they called it, when they opened it up to anyone. And it was still neat because I was still going there then. I was still working at it.
But it kind of lost its allure a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, just now it's because everything's digital and you have live streams and like just the way social media is now. It's like most companies are trickling out information, or like when they have new releases or stuff coming up, they don't necessarily want to just hold on to it for like 3 or 6 months. They want to like, tell their community or update them what's going on. So for them, there's not a lot of secrecy. There's no point. Because before what it would be is they would have their conventions and stuff and they would have their booth, but they would basically just pull PR people and journalists and stuff into like these back rooms and show them demos of it. And then the journalists would like write about what they saw. Like they would go show. That's how it used to be. And it was like, but now with the way social media is, like companies are they're not really going to give demos out and stuff anymore to like journalists like that. They're not going to give like these sneak peeks necessarily, because they might as well just show it to the public or keep it in their back pocket.
I still like, and Shelby's always talked about this, I like that there's a time of year, the Game Awards. Here's the thing, we talk about the Game Awards, it's not like the Oscars where it's this board of people like there's people that sit and do it. The Game Awards, people pay, it's the company's paying. It's not
it would almost be like the Oscars if they were going to like show all the movies. It's almost more like Comic-Con where they show off like a slate. This is all the Marvel movies we're doing for the next 2-3 years.
It's all a commercial. It's a commercial, and then there's some awards. It can't, like, we need to know who's voting. Like, who's the people that got the vote in a collective group. Like, let's make Game Awards serious. I like the idea of a Game Awards. I like having an event that showcases games, but and E3's always been that. But I think it's time that ship sails. I think we can say goodbye to our old friend. I want to say too, something that we like to do as we wrap up and get to the end of the show. We like to do like a game usually for our final segment, Alex. And because you're here, there's something I've always done. We've done these things called one-star reviews, where we read reviews of video games and we read the 1-star reviews and we rate them on our own 5-star scale. One of my favorites, we found one where an old lady wrote a really nice review of a game and she gave it a 1-star because she didn't understand. I think she thinks a 1's good because you're like, this is a glowing review.
Top stars, right? Those are some of my favorite. Because the rule 1 in the internet is you don't read the comments, right? We're always told don't read the comments. As a content creator,
content creator, I'm sure for you, like, how often are people, like, with your stuff, you get comments, I'm sure, emails about your work constantly, right?
No, everyone loves it.
I'm sure. I still, it depends. If I know it's a hot take, I just stay away.
But like, I'm sure too, if someone was like, when you give them an honest price or something about something, and there's a lot of weirdos on the internet. I'm sure some people
there's
are like,
a lot of weirdos in person too, believe it or not. People don't know how to hold their face when you tell them things in person either.
100%.
They let you know, I'm sure, right?
They'll let you know with their face or with their words that they think things are overpriced. So
my favorite's when they're like, oh well, I could do that, myself, or stuff like
then
that.
do it.
Like,
right.
Do it. Go for it.
Let's see it. I want to see it. No, prove it. Do it right now. Here, let's go. So for me, I have a couple reviews of controllers. There's a few that I like. So this first one I want to showcase why I think it's good. I'll read it to you guys.
Are these Alex's controllers or just?
Yes, Alex. They're no, Alex gets all These are just people that bought at Best Buy. I would never. That'd be horrible. Alex, that'd be like what's the Catch a Predator? Like, let's talk about your bad product. What do you have to say? Horrible. So this one, I like this one. I was first reading it, and he's I'm a dad that used to be a hardcore gamer. Started getting back into it. One joystick became loose, then just flopped all over with no input. Buying it 6 months ago, maybe 40 hours on it, I tore it apart. I've never seen this in all my life or kids' life of gaming, but this is the first time I brought a different colored controller. So he's assuming one solid review. I think it's an honest thing. I've never seen this in my whole life. He's blaming it on the color.
He's got a picture, but that doesn't look like a normal joy. It's like green.
Yeah, this is a Microsoft. This is a Microsoft.
Electric Volt Yellow.
Yeah, right here.
Oh, I know those controllers.
You know them. So would you agree with the 1-star review?
No.
How often do you think someone breaks them and they just want to blame it because they broke it because he raged?
I'm sure Nintendo says that about all the Joy-Cons.
Yeah. Down really quick. This one cracked me up. Just the title. Sean, if you can read that for the people at home.
It's okay.
And the review says, it's okay for me as a new Xbox person. The control's too big for me, though.
That's and then 1 star. I love it when it's like their fault, and then they give it 1 star.
Right.
Like, I ordered this by mistake, and it came, and da.
Well, it's like, what's okay mean to you? Like, what is it? Right. Like a 3 would be okay.
Right, a 3 is okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they submitted a picture of what looks to be like their, and maybe entertainment center.
Yeah,
or like a shelf.
I want to see. I want to see your baby hands, dude. Let me see the hands. That's what I want to know. That one cracked me up. In the pictures
so we're
are pretty funny
too.
Are we
supposed to be rating?
Oh
these?
yeah. So okay, give me your rating for the dad one. The dad one with the different color controller.
I feel like that's a 3.
That's a 3. Yeah, I think it's solid. I think there's a great twist at the end, with that. Okay, Sean, you say a 3 as well?
Yeah, I would say a 3 because it's like it's kind of detailed, but at the same time, it's like it's not super shocking, but it's funny.
I give it a 3 because it's genuine, and then the off-cuff comment about the color being the issue is great. I do love a salty review when they're just really mad.
Yeah.
Me personally, though, this one, it's okay. This is a 5 for me. Like, great.
It's too big for me.
Not anything insightful. Just made me laugh. Like, oh, this is a bad 1-star review. This hits a great 1-star review.
I'd say, or only because they didn't give me the conclusion. Like, did they send it back, or did they just keep it then when they found
and no
out,
picture of their baby hands? I think that's all.
Yeah, exactly. Right? So 4. I have to knock
that's a 4 for me too. Yeah,
it's a 4. All right, let's go to the Sony Dual Edge. I really like again how you can rate and filter.
By 1 star.
Just again the first one. Alex, you want to read this? If you can see that on screen, I can make it bigger.
Yeah, I can see it. Not the best. The controller stopped working after a while. I've never experienced this ever in my history of gaming.
I've noticing a theme. And
it's by Nunya.
Yeah, it is. Oh man, great dad joke. What are the odds they just didn't charge it?
Oh.
Yeah.
Stopped working after a while. It's not wirelessly charging. It's a wireless controller. I've heard that before where people were like, it's wireless. So I just thought, I didn't know I'd have to plug it in. And you're like, oh no.
This is a 2. This is a 2 in my mind. It's funny, but when I read that, this never experienced in my life, I had the thought, oh, okay, maybe they didn't charge it.
I'd agree. I appreciate that Best Buy tells you that they're verified purchases.
Yes.
You know when you sometimes see like the Amazon reviews or stuff, and you're like, do they actually own this, or is it, are they just mad at this company for some reason?
Yeah. See, like a sincere 1-star review, I don't really like them. Like, oh, okay. This one, Havoc card. This item was purchased fraudulently by someone else using my credit card. Okay. Best Buy has a case to open it, but I've heard nothing. Thankfully, my card. Oh, I just gotta zoom out. My card. This one's like a cry for help. My case is open, but I haven't heard nothing. Thankfully, my credit card company has my back. This is my review. This is my review. He said that.
Is he trying to say hacked card?
I think so. Hacked would be it. That would be.
This is That's funny, but like, why would you review? Why would you rate the Why would you rate the controller? The controller did nothing wrong.
You want to rate Best Buy, right? This is Susan M. Worried mom, probably someone not keen on technology.
So the M
although, it was Nova Pink too. So, Susan just might have regret. I don't know.
Because you do get those kind of people who will like buy it or buy something, or even at like a restaurant where they'll eat the whole meal and they're like, "Oh, it was terrible though. Can I have my money
can I get a
back?"
refund? No, you ate the
like,
whole thing,
sir. You ate the entire thing.
Yeah, not how it works. You got to do it like within the first minute of getting the food. Like, this isn't what I wanted, or this is
a bite or two.
But I will never send food back. I will always. No. I'll be like, thanks, and I'll hate eat it. Alex, when you buy a controller, do you prefer to get a certain color if you know base, or do you mix and match? Like, I'm guessing the white controller probably would be easiest to work with.
Yeah, right? It depends. Stuff with like the PS5 controllers. It's design dependent. Same thing with the Xbox. I did like a Cult of the Lamb Xbox controller recently. Ooh. So I went with a red controller for the Xbox because the buttons on that are red. So without me having to swap out the buttons are already red. Same thing with the DualSense. I did God of War. So I've been getting like the crimson red one for God of War so that it has the maroon coloring already. Nice. So it really just depends. There's no options with Switch, so for Xbox and PlayStation, it just depends.
Do you ever use like the Xbox Design Lab to get certain colors and stuff because they have whatever like dozens of different button controls?
Do not. I think that's an amazing service. I think Microsoft and Xbox are incredible for not only that, but for all the custom designs that they do put out. I think they're the most gamer-friendly company for sure in regards to art and design and customization options. I think it's amazing, but it's too expensive. I get my controllers wholesale because we have the store, so it's not financially responsible of me to do that.
I've seen this. Here's your next design, Alex. Okay, I need you to just do a bunch of these.
I've done that.
I could. I'm good. Everybody loves it. If you're
for the audio listeners, it's a Fisher Price 10 video game controller.
Yeah, but people will see it and know because of the color scheme. If you're a parent and you're
hold on, I can get it. Give me 1 second.
Go grab it. Go grab it. On my other desk. John, let's
That's hilarious.
My son my daughter played with one of these when they were little. I loved it. I was like, man, this would be a really cool color scheme. It's pretty wild.
I took it off my wall the other day. It was right there. It hangs up there, but
it even has the face.
Yes, perfect. Yes. See, I was setting you up because I have seen that, but I do love it. And the orange, you did a really good job. I want one, and I think I would be curious to see if I gave it to my kids, would they be like, wait, this is resonating for some reason. They're older now, Well, and we would do Joy-Cons, but we all know they're bad.
They're all
but Alex, I want to thank you so much for coming on. Where can people get more of you?
Twitter, Instagram are my main two. It's Captain Alex Cptn _ Alex on Twitter, and then there's no underscore. It's just Cptn ALEX on Instagram. Our website, CaptainAlex.com. It's currently under construction. Like the page that's there will not be the page that's there in a month. I'm currently revamping it so that I can start selling online again on my own website. Nice. And then our business name is Comic Controllers. If you're ever in Florida, it's Comic Controllers Pop Culture Soda Shop out here in Orlando. I'm easy to find. Just look me up. You can find us.
Yeah. I mean, for those listening or those watching the video later in the replay, the description and links will be down below, so you can click those. Go buy a cool controller. Get ready. Maybe that Silk Song one will eventually come out, just like the game, hopefully. But again, I want to thank you for your time, and I want to thank anybody that watched or is listening for coming on. If you like what you heard, please leave us a nice 4-star review, 5-star. I should probably ask for the 5, but I'm a realist. And if you also like, share, subscribe, we have a Discord. Please come in and talk there. And Sean, do we have anything else coming up on the channel that you can think of?
D&D. Are we streaming that?
We are streaming on Saturday. Okay. That's right. Dice Night returns. It's episode 2 of Icewind Dale. Last time we left off, you guys shot an arrow at some goblins that were not so keen on that. You know, I was
almost died last time.
You did almost die. You passed out. No negotiation
level 1
with this group. No try to haggle it. You're like, you know what? Let's just kill you, murder hobos. That's kind of the vibe of this group I'm playing with this time. But again, thank you so much for listening. Thank you for coming, and have a great night. And remember, play your games.
Bye.